Fox Business Alert business leaders continue to raise warning flags about how tariffs will impact prices. On Friday, Kansas City Federal Reserve President Jeff Schmid said he expects upward price pressure could start becoming more apparent in the coming months. And that comment came less than a day after BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said, quote, if the tariffs are instituted over the next 5 months, I think we're going to see very elevated inflation. So when exactly will tariffs start impacting prices, particularly when it comes to the technology, the consumer technology we use every day, which is, by extension, all the chip makers and all the input guys? Joining us now in a Fox Business exclusive, Consumer Technology Association CEO and Vice Chair Gary Shapiro. CTA represents everybody in consumer electronics. I know this is at the forefront of what you've been thinking about and doing the math. When do you start to see these prices, or are they already late? Are Fink and Schmid already late and we're starting to see hikes in prices?
Well, certainly we said April 2nd, when Liberation Day came, that you will see inflation, you will see price increases. Tariffs are taxes, and someone's going to pay them, and it's not going to be China. You know, why would President Trump tell Walmart to keep their prices low? Obviously, retailers and others. And it's not only the price increases, it's the uncertainty they're causing, and they're just causing horrible moments for a lot of CEOs around the country. Big companies and some of the smallest startups, and then they start going under. They're going to start laying off employees unless we get a deal soon.
Okay, a deal soon, but you, I'm sure, have done some research. In fact, I was looking at some of the research you've just come out with. The average retail price will see an increase of 31% for smartphones.
Well, we don't know. We base it on a certain set of assumptions, which were no longer true. It depends upon, look, President Trump has made 50 different announcements about tariffs. We did that work in last year after the election, and then we updated it. And we showed that there's going to be increases. We don't know which company, how much they'll raise, but generally, if price increases go up, if the raw material input goes up, which is what's happening, then certainly prices will follow.
What are you hearing from your member companies? And this includes everybody from NVIDIA to ARM to Intel to Samsung, all of the companies that you represent.
What we're hearing is that a lot of them are focusing on tariffs rather than focusing on growing their company through innovation, especially at the top executive level. They can't plan. The retailers can't plan. They don't know what's going to happen with the back-to-school season. They don't know what's going to happen with the fourth quarter and the great holiday season. And they can't order, and there's discussions and debates, and they know they can't manufacture a lot of these products here. We don't have the rare earth minerals. We don't have the manufacturing capacity. We don't have the workers. We're exporting some of the workers we have, and maybe if we get more kids by giving them a $1,000 investment account, maybe that will have more kids and soon there'll be workers. But we can't just manufacture them out of thin air. They don't exist in the United States. So a lot of this is just a smokescreen. It's not going to happen. They'll be manufacturing, moved hopefully to friendly countries. We'll have deals with them. That's what we should be doing. And we should be going to zero tariffs. And then the stock market will explode in joy. Everyone will win. Around the world will win. Because our relationships right now with our former allies, this is hurting. It's not helping. And our people who want to come here and study, they're not choosing the U.S. anymore. We need them for innovation. We need people to come here. And this is like, if you could do everything wrong in a row, this would be it for our future and innovation.
Okay, but he has paused the tariffs for the moment, and we are getting breaking news, by the way, folks, that the talks in London between Scott Bessent and his Chinese counterpart, He Lifeng, have just concluded, so it's late there. It's after 8 p.m. Eastern. They've been going since very early. So let's hope that we get something good out of it. These are not tariff talks, though. They are talks about loosening the restrictions that America has on letting China have certain chips, and China loosening its restrictions on its rare earth metals, which, by the way, are used in all electronics. When we're talking about consumer electronics, though, I'm just wondering if people get used to paying higher prices. The Switch 2, Nintendo just released that on Friday. There were lines around the block, and they just came out with some reports that we are hearing that they sold something like 3+ million of these Switches. They're not cheap. And they sold them. That's more than any other console within 24 hours of its release. People are paying, Gary.
Well, certainly hot products are hot products. But what we have found in our research is we're going to still sell the same number of units. I'm sorry, consumers will buy them, but consumers at the lower end will not be able to buy them. So fewer units will eventually be sold.
Microsoft just announced it's partnering with Asus to create this Xbox Ally, the ROG, you familiar with this? It's going to be a handheld that's related to the Xbox. So there is innovation going on, certainly.
Absolutely.
I guess on the behalf of the big companies. Do you foresee some of the medium or smaller size companies down for the count because of what they expect to be onerous tariffs?
Absolutely. A few weeks ago, we had Trade Week, and we had tons of small companies come in, their CEOs, and make their case. Congress, Democrats and Republicans, will agree privately there should not be tariffs like this. This is bad. It's killing American businesses. But when it comes to the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, there is an economist there who says this is a good thing. He's the only one.
Why do you think they're scared? Are they afraid of President Trump?
Well, of course, everyone's afraid of President Trump. I'm afraid of President Trump. President Trump could say and do things to anybody. And for members of Congress, if you are a Republican, you are basically told you will be primaried if you disagree with the president. And that's a big deal. So those that are not running for election have more courage than those that do, that are.
He has really singled out Tim Cook of Apple, really singled him out, saying it's not good enough if you move your production of iPhones out of China to India. I want them produced in the United States. Is that ever going to happen?
Well, here's what happened is that the industry did what President Trump asked in his first presidency. They started moving everything out of China. They moved to Vietnam, to all sorts of other countries, India, elsewhere. A lot of our friends, we have treaty agreements with them. And that, all of a sudden, this isn't enough. Are they going to move to the U.S.? Yeah, it could happen in 20 or 30 years with products, but definitely we will not be able to afford them as Americans if they're made here. We do not have the skills, the factory equipment, the trained workforce to make the factories, the equipment to make the factories, or to service the factories. And if there will be jobs there, the jobs of factory jobs where you think of millions of people, these factories have to be super automated to be competitive in any way.
Revolt if the iPhone jumps exponentially in price. We did a little math because, again, it's hard to tell because it's a moving target with these tariffs. But we looked at the iPhone 16, which costs about $799 right now. When we look at your research and your predictions from, I guess, last month, so they're a little old now, but if the tariffs stick, the next iPhone could jump $1,000 to $1,046?
Apple could set any prices they want. It's supply and demand and what they have to do. I don't get involved in individual company decisions, but I'll tell you, every dollar that we get to a U.S. manufacturer that because of these tariffs will make them more competitive, Americans are losing $16 in buying power. This is a big tax in the American public, and it's inflationary, and we could see a recession because of it. This has to be resolved at some point soon. Hopefully it'll happen under your watch.
Gary, thank you very much.